There comes a moment in every relationship when you quietly wonder if the person you love still sees your worth. You give, you show up, you care with your whole heart. Yet somehow, your value becomes something they grow used to, something that blends into the background. It's a painful realization, the kind that makes you question yourself long before you ever question them. But here's the truth. Your worth has never disappeared. It's only been hidden beneath habits of overgiving, over-explaining, and trying too hard to prove what should have been obvious from the start. Stoic philosophy teaches that your value is revealed not through louder words, but through quieter actions, the kind that come from self-respect, restraint, and emotional clarity. Today, we're going to explore 9 silent actions that will help you reclaim your presence, your dignity, and the deep sense of worth you may have forgotten. Not to manipulate anyone, but to remind yourself who you truly are. 1. When you pull back with self-respect, they finally see what they took for granted. There is a quiet shift that happens when you begin pulling your energy back. Not out of anger, not to make a point, but because you finally understand what your presence is worth. Most people don't realize they're taking you for granted while you're still available, still giving, still showing up every time they call your name. Familiarity blinds them. They forget the emotional labor you carry, the patience you offer, the stability you bring into their life. And eventually, you can feel it, the imbalance, the subtle drain, the sense that you're giving more than you're receiving. Stoic philosophy teaches that withdrawing your energy is not an act of punishment. It is an act of alignment. You are choosing to step back into a space where you can see clearly again. You are choosing to stop carrying a relationship on your shoulders while calling it love. You are choosing to protect your peace without creating chaos. This pullback isn't dramatic. You don't slam doors, make speeches, or demand change. You simply stop overextending. You stop initiating every conversation. You stop explaining what shouldn't need explanation. You stop offering emotional support to someone who doesn't reciprocate. You give just enough to stay true to who you are, but not so much that you disappear in the process. When this shift happens, the other person feels something they never expected. Silence with weight, absence with meaning. The space you leave behind becomes a mirror, and for the first time in a long time, they can finally see the truth. Not that you've changed, but that they stopped appreciating the version of you who always tried. And something else happens too. You begin remembering yourself. You rediscover the parts of you that were pushed aside just to keep the relationship balanced. You reconnect with your own needs, your own standards, your own voice. You become more grounded, more centered, more in control of your emotions. This is the first silent action because it sets the tone for everything that follows. It's the moment you stop asking, "Do they still care?" and start asking, "Am I still honoring myself?" And when you shift your focus that way, people feel it. They sense your absence. They notice your restraint, and they begin to understand, often for the first time, just how much you brought into their life. 2. The quiet discipline that makes them see your strength. There is a different kind of power that appears when you stop reacting to every emotion that rises inside you. Most relationships crumble not because of what happens, but because of how people respond. With impulse, fear, insecurity, or frustration. And when you love someone deeply, it's easy to slip into emotional overreaction, defending yourself too quickly, trying to prove your intentions, or responding instantly just to avoid conflict. But every time you react from a place of urgency, you unknowingly lower your own value. Stoic philosophy teaches a difficult truth. Your emotional discipline is the clearest reflection of your inner strength. When you pause, breathe, and choose your response instead of giving your emotions the wheel, you show a level of maturity that not everyone possesses. You communicate silently, I am in control of myself. Nothing and no one can pull me out of character. This shift is subtle but unmistakable. You don't jump into arguments the moment tension appears. You don't rush to defend yourself when misunderstood. You don't fire back when something hurts. You sit with your feelings first. You observe them, and you allow the storm to pass before deciding what truly deserves your energy. The person you love will feel this difference immediately. Emotional chaos loses its power when you refuse to participate. Arguments that once lasted hours suddenly dissolve because you're no longer feeding them. Misunderstandings fade more quickly because you aren't responding from fear or insecurity. You show that your sense of self isn't fragile. It's steady, grounded, and resilient. And ironically, this stability makes your presence more valuable. People trust those who can remain calm. People respect those who do not let temporary emotions destroy permanent connections. People admire the ones who can hold themselves together even when everything around them feels shaky. But the deepest transformation happens within you. Emotional discipline creates clarity. Clarity creates better decisions. Better decisions create healthier love. You begin recognizing what genuinely matters and what doesn't. You stop carrying emotional weight that isn't yours. You no longer break yourself just to keep the relationship from breaking. And the more you stand firmly in your center, the more attractive and irreplaceable your energy becomes. This silent action doesn't shout your worth. It reveals it. Because anyone can love loudly, impulsively, and recklessly. But loving with calm strength? That is something unforgettable. 3. Showing, not telling. Let your growth speak for you. There is a moment in every relationship when words stop working. You can explain how much you're trying, how much you've changed, how much you're evolving, but if the other person has stopped paying attention, your voice becomes background noise. That's when growth, done quietly and consistently, becomes the most powerful form of communication you have. When you choose to improve yourself in silence, something remarkable happens. You stop trying to convince someone to value you, and you start becoming someone who naturally commands value. Your actions begin to speak in a language the heart understands more clearly than any speech. Consistency, discipline, progress, and self-respect. These are signals people feel even if you never say a word about them. You take better care of your body, not to be admired, but to feel strong again. You work on your mind, not to show off intelligence, but to develop inner clarity. You focus on your goals, not to prove your worth, but because you finally remember you have a life outside this relationship. You create stability, direction, and momentum. And this quiet evolution sends an unmistakable message. I'm growing, with or without you. And the person you love, they notice. Not because you throw your achievements in their face, but because your presence changes. Your energy becomes more intentional. Your boundaries become clearer. Your conversations become deeper or calmer or more selective. Your reactions become measured instead of emotional. Your silence becomes focused, not wounded. There is something undeniably attractive about someone who is building themselves. Growth creates gravity. It draws people in. They start to see what they missed, what they overlooked, what they assumed would always be the same. Your transformation disrupts their expectations, gently but undeniably. But here is the most important part. Your growth must be for you, not for them. The moment you shift from proving to becoming, you reclaim your own power. You stop waiting for validation. You stop measuring your worth through someone else's eyes. You stop tying your identity to how much love they give or withhold. You evolve because your future deserves a stronger version of you, not a diluted one. This silent action is one of the most profound because it changes the entire relationship dynamic without a single confrontation. You simply rise, and as you rise, two things become clear. Either they rise with you or they fall away. Either outcome reveals your worth, not in theory, but in truth. 4. The silent boundary that teaches people how to treat you. One of the most misunderstood truths in love is this: people don't respect what you say you want, they respect what you allow. You can repeat your needs, your limits, your expectations 100 times, but if your actions contradict your words, the message never lands. That's why silent boundaries are so powerful. They don't require arguments, explanations, or emotional speeches. They're communicated through calm, consistent behavior. And that consistency forces people to pay attention. A silent boundary is when you stop entertaining conversations that disturb your peace. It's when you don't respond to disrespect, even in the smallest form. It's when you don't chase after someone who chooses distance. It's when you remove yourself from situations that drain your energy instead of begging for them to improve. Stoic philosophy is built on this principle. Your peace is your responsibility. No one is obligated to protect it for you. And the moment you start behaving like someone whose peace is valuable, others have no choice but to adjust how they interact with you. At first, people may be confused. They might wonder why you no longer react the way you used to. Why don't you argue back? Why don't you over-explain? Why don't you rush to fix every moment of tension? They feel the difference, the quiet shift in your posture, your tone, your choices. What they're really feeling is that you've stopped making yourself available for the behaviors that once hurt you. And here's the beautiful part. Silent boundaries don't create conflict. They create clarity. They don't punish. They protect. They don't push love away. They refine it. By quietly choosing what you will and won't participate in, you teach people how to treat you without ever needing to raise your voice. You show them that affection doesn't give them permission to cross lines. You show them that love doesn't require you to tolerate what damages your spirit. You show them that access to your heart must be earned, not assumed. And something shifts inside you too. You feel a new sense of dignity rising. You trust yourself more. You rely less on someone else's validation. You stop sacrificing your well-being just to keep the peace on the outside. Silent boundaries are not walls. They are doors, and you choose who gets to enter. In love, that choice is everything. 5. When you stop explaining, you raise your value. Instantly. There comes a point in every relationship when you realize you've spent more time explaining yourself than actually being understood. You explain why you feel hurt. You explain why you need clarity. You explain why you need effort, consistency, and respect. And the more you explain, the less they seem to hear you. It's not because your words lack meaning. It's because they've grown accustomed to you justifying everything. But here's a truth Stoicism teaches with piercing clarity. The more you feel compelled to explain your worth, the less others feel obligated to recognize it. Explaining yourself over and over is not communication. It's self-doubt disguised as effort. When you stop explaining, something powerful happens. Not in them, in you. Your energy shifts, your posture changes, your voice becomes calmer, steadier, more grounded. You no longer rush to defend your decisions or rationalize your needs. You simply state them once, clearly, and allow your actions to support the rest. In relationships, this is transformative. When you stop saying, "I just want you to understand," and instead say, "This is where I stand," respect rises. When you stop listing reasons why you deserve care or consideration and simply stop accepting less than that, your value becomes unmistakable. When you stop arguing about what you meant and start living in alignment with who you are, people adjust to your truth. The person you love will feel this shift immediately. It's not passive-aggressive withdrawal. It's not bitter. It's not silence born of resentment. It is the silence of someone who knows themselves. Someone who realizes that understanding can be invited, but never demanded, and certainly never begged for. Your lack of explanation becomes a mirror. It reflects their behavior back to them. It reveals whether they choose to meet you with effort or excuses. And most importantly, it shows you the difference between someone who listens because they value you and someone who listens only when your voice is loud enough to serve them. This silent action is not about withholding communication. It's about withholding self-betrayal. It's about refusing to shrink your needs just to keep someone comfortable. It's about understanding that clarity doesn't require repetition. It requires consistency. You don't need to persuade someone of your worth. You need to embody it. And when you do, the right people will recognize it without a single explanation. 6. The space you create makes them realize your absence. Hurts. There is a silent truth about love that most people learn the hard way. As long as you are always available, always responsive, always present, others forget what your presence truly means. They begin to see you as a constant, something guaranteed, something dependable, something they don't have to work for. Not out of malice, but out of human nature. What we experience every day, we learn to treat as ordinary. That's why creating space is one of the most powerful silent actions you can take. Not distance born from bitterness, but space born from clarity. It begins with something simple. You stop being emotionally on call. You no longer respond the moment your phone lights up. You don't rush to resolve every disagreement. You don't abandon your plans just because they suddenly want your attention. You let things breathe. You let conversations settle. You allow time and silence to do what explanations never could. At first, it felt strange. You've been so used to filling every gap, smoothing every wrinkle, holding the relationship together with your urgency and effort. But when you step back, you begin to notice something. The relationship doesn't fall apart. The illusion that you were the only one holding it together does. In that space, they finally have a chance to feel your absence. They notice the quiet. They notice the pause. They notice that the emotional comfort you provided wasn't automatic. It was an act of love they had stopped appreciating. Space creates awareness. Awareness creates reflection. Reflection creates change. The person you love begins to experience the truth. You are contributing more than they realized. Your emotional availability, your presence, your support. None of it was small. It was the glue. And now that it's not overflowing, they see how much they depended on it. But here's the part most people don't expect. The space is not just for them, it's for you. It gives you room to breathe, to remember who you were before the relationship became unbalanced, to reconnect with your boundaries, your joys, your ambitions, to realize that love is supposed to feel mutual, not draining. And something beautiful happens when you create space intentionally. If the relationship is healthy, they step forward. If the relationship is imbalanced, they fall away. Either way, you gain clarity. And clarity is a form of peace. This silent action doesn't shout your worth. It reveals it in the echo of your absence and in the strength of your return. 7. Self-improvement without announcement. The Stoic way. There is a rare kind of power that emerges when you decide to evolve quietly, without asking for applause or recognition. In love, people often announce their efforts. I'm changing, I'm trying, I'm working on myself. But words are fragile. They fade fast, especially when repeated too often. What truly transforms a relationship, and more importantly, transforms you, is silent self-improvement. The kind that speaks through presence, not promises. When you begin leveling up for your own sake, the shift is undeniable. You take better care of your body, not to impress anyone, but because strength feels like home again. You work on your mental clarity, reading, studying, journaling, so you can navigate your emotions without drowning in them. You rekindle your ambitions, career goals, personal projects, long-neglected dreams. You become someone who wakes up with purpose instead of waiting for someone else to give your day meaning. And even though you're not performing your growth for the world, people sense it. The person you love senses it too. Your posture changes, your tone becomes calmer, your priorities sharpen. You start carrying yourself with a quiet confidence, not arrogance, not distance, but a mature self-assurance that comes from knowing you are no longer abandoning yourself for the sake of being loved. Growth is magnetic in a way words can never replicate. It challenges others to evolve. It shifts the dynamic of the relationship. It creates a new standard, not one you impose, but one you embody. And here is the most important part. Silent self-improvement is never about proving your worth to someone else. It's about remembering it for yourself. It's about becoming so aligned, so clear, so centered, that anyone who stands beside you must rise to meet you or step aside. This action is powerful, not because it changes how they see you, but because it changes how you see yourself. And when that happens, every relationship around you transforms. 8. Silent detachment, loving without losing yourself. There is a kind of love that feels warm, steady, and safe. And then there is the kind of love where you begin to lose yourself slowly, almost without noticing. You try harder, you give more. You bend your boundaries piece by piece because you're terrified that pulling back means losing them. But eventually, something shifts inside you. You realize that loving someone should never require abandoning the very parts of yourself that made you lovable in the first place. This is where silent detachment becomes a powerful act of self-respect. Detachment is often misunderstood. People think it means not caring, shutting down, or walking away. But in Stoic philosophy, detachment is something very different. It means remaining connected without being consumed. It means loving wholeheartedly while staying rooted in your own identity. It means holding someone close without gripping them so tightly that you lose your balance. Silent detachment begins when you stop reacting to every change in someone else's mood. You stop overanalyzing their tone, their pauses, their habits. You stop spiraling every time they pull away or seem distant. Instead, you learn to pause and center yourself before assuming the worst. You give them the space to be human, and give yourself the space to stay grounded. You also stop basing your entire emotional world on how they behave. When they're warm, you appreciate it. When they're cold, you don't crumble. You allow their inconsistency to reveal the truth about the relationship instead of letting it dictate your worth. The person you love will feel this immediately. Not because you withdraw affection, but because you stop giving out of fear. Your energy changes. Your presence becomes calmer, more stable, less dependent on their validation. You stop chasing reassurance and start choosing clarity. You stop seeking constant closeness and start valuing emotional independence. And ironically, this makes your love more powerful, not weaker. You're no longer acting from insecurity. You're no longer trying to control outcomes. You're no longer attaching your identity to their behavior. Silent detachment invites the other person to show who they truly are. If they care, they come closer with more intention. If they don't, the distance only reveals a truth you need to see. But most importantly, detachment protects the most sacred part of any relationship, your sense of self. You can love deeply without losing yourself. You can give without emptying your soul. You can stay connected without sacrificing your center. That balance, quiet, steady, unshakable, is the kind of love that endures. 9. The final silent action. Walk away from disrespect with dignity. There is a line in every relationship, a quiet, invisible line, where love ends and self-respect must begin. Most people don't notice when this line is crossed because the first violations are small. a dismissive tone, a thoughtless comment, a lack of effort, a disregard for your feelings. You forgive because you love. You overlook it because you hope. You justify it because you don't want to lose them. But over time, those small cracks become fractures, and the person you love begins to treat your tolerance as permission. The truth is simple and difficult at the same time. The most powerful silent action you can ever take is to walk away from disrespect, without drama, without noise, without apology. This is not about punishing them. It is not about proving a point. It is not about winning. It is about choosing yourself when someone else refuses to. Walking away with dignity means you don't fight to be seen by someone who chooses blindness. You don't beg to be valued by someone who no longer recognizes your worth. You don't shrink yourself to fit into a space that was never meant to hold all of you. You simply acknowledge the truth. Love without respect is never love at all. When you walk away gracefully, the silence is unmistakable. There is no slamming of doors, no long speeches, no emotional outbursts, just a calm, steady decision rooted in self-respect. And this silence carries a message louder than anything you could have said. I will not betray myself to keep a place in your life. For the person you leave behind, this moment becomes a mirror. They finally see the weight of their actions, not because you told them, but because your absence forces them to. In the loss of your presence, the truth becomes undeniable. You were the one who brought stability, compassion, emotional safety. You were the one who held the relationship together, and you were the one they should have cherished. But for you, this moment is a turning point. Walking away is not the end of your value. It is the beginning of your alignment. It's where healing starts. It's where clarity returns. It's where you step into a version of yourself that refuses to settle for love that costs your dignity. Leaving is painful, but losing yourself is worse. And when you choose dignity over disrespect, you don't just walk away, you rise. Here's the truth that ties everything together. Your worth was never lost. It was only waiting for you to stand beside it again. These 9 silent actions are not about playing games or controlling anyone. They're about returning to yourself, honoring your boundaries, strengthening your emotional core, and showing love from a place of dignity rather than fear. When you pull back with self-respect, when you choose discipline over reaction, when you grow quietly, protect your peace, and walk away from disrespect, you don't just change the relationship, you transform your entire life. I hope these insights help you reconnect with your value and show it in a way that needs no explanation. Start with one action. Practice it today. Let it reshape how you see yourself and how others see you. Thank you for spending your time with me. Your presence here means more than you know. If this video brought you clarity or strength, feel free to like, share, or leave a comment, and I'll see you in the next one, where we continue building the strongest, calmest version of you.